This week on It's Happening Out. World AIDS Day, December 1st.
Every 2 minutes,
one young woman contracts HIV.
Did you know?
Civil War, Republicans versus Democrats.
Start with that question, American Civil War. I mean, it's a pretty provocative phrase. You really feel
American Music Awards recap.
powerhouse performances rock the AMAs.
What are you thankful for?
Health, family, friendships.
It's all happening out tonight. Join us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Special guest host, Aaron Darr. Special guest host, Scott Newmark. Special guest host, Jonathan Welsh. Special guest host, Requel Lopes. Special guest, Paul Seligman. With your host, lifestyle expert Napoleon Plays. Trans activist Aaron Phoenix. Reality TV star Chef Josie. DJ Diva Power Infiniti. DC Law Cabin Republican Joe Brookman. And our moderator, Al Ferguson. It all starts right now, live on It's Happening Out.
Well, good evening, America, and happy Thanksgiving. Let me get that out of the way right off the bat. We appreciate you tuning in. This is another episode of the world's most popular live gay TV show. It's Happening Out, and we're on Thanksgiving Eve, and a big event as we get ready to celebrate World AIDS Day on December 1st. Let me tell you first, we're broadcasting to you live from Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We affectionately say we're the gayest place on planet Earth, and once again, we're going to prove that tonight. We're going to tell you about some of the special things that we are doing. We are coming to you from the World AIDS Museum. Going to tell you a little bit about that in a moment. Quite exciting to celebrate the World AIDS Day on December 1st. We want to thank our hotel partner, the Best Western, Oakland Park, Fort Lauderdale at I-95, and we always thank them for their participation with our host and our guests that come in, and oh my goodness, are we loaded with guests tonight. Watch what we get ready to do. We remind you, this show has grown so much because you like us and share us. We invite you to share us right now. If you like the different complexities of the conversation that we are going to have tonight, the best way that you can help enable the gay community is share us right now and to like us and to start a watch party. And to accomplish that, Napoleon has created this little video about a watch party. Watch this.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click share. After clicking share, your screen should change and you can then click watch party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click start watch party. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
Well, it's as simple as that. Start a watch party right now and help propel the conversation. And we think you're going to like what you hear tonight. Now, the show tonight looks a little different. Joe has finally killed off all of the other hosts. Congratulations, Joe.
Amen.
It only took you 66 weeks to do that.
Oh, there we go.
They're all dead. No, we're only kidding. We wish happy Thanksgiving to the host. Everybody gets time off, apparently, except me and
me.
you. President Trump comes into town, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So, of course,
Yes.
Joe is still here. And so as a result, we brought in some heavy guns. And we want to echo what we talked about in the top of the opening package. First, Requel Lopes. Rhymes with Hopes, the executive director of the World AIDS Museum.
Yay.
Welcome, Requel. A lot of America might not know that the World AIDS Museum is literally in the heart of the gayest place on planet Earth, Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Raquel, thank you for being our host tonight.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Are you excited about having us? Or are
Wait
you still?
to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's
Me
go.
too.
America, that's a preview of stuff we know that you don't know yet. We also welcome here to my right Jonathan Welsh, the Director of Marketing of Care Resource.
Thank you, sir.
And Care Resource is one of the
you.
best health providers in the gay community in the United States, and also is based here in the gayest place on planet Earth in South Florida. Welcome, Jonathan.
That is true. Thank you very much for that warm introduction. I'm very happy to be here today on World AIDS Day. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we all have a lot to be thankful for.
Exactly, and I have to get this right off the bat. Jonathan is going to get no passes tonight in terms of our conversation, even though today is his birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Jonathan!
yeah.
True. But you know what's really interesting is today, sometimes you meet a lot of people in your life, whether it be at a bar or on Facebook or at work or at the store. But today, when it's your birthday, it's kind of like, who calls you? Who texts you? You know, who sends you a message on Twitter or Facebook? And there was such an outpouring of love today. My staff got me a cake, and that was such a blessing. This man took me out for dinner earlier before the show.
Right, exactly.
And we made a commitment to our friendship.
Friendship.
That's cool.
And let me tell you, America, very interesting in terms of Jonathan's commitment to doing the show tonight. He has, when the show finishes, he has a 4-hour drive to Daytona Beach to spend Thanksgiving. And his mother, because it's his birthday, is staying up waiting for him. And he told his mother, wait, Mom, I've got to do It's Happening Out first before I drive up for Thanksgiving. Jonathan,
the
thank you.
reality is this is what friends do, because it's hard to get people during the holidays to be on a show.
That's
it's like
right.
It's like herding cats.
That's right.
And
there's so many
how
cats
hard
sitting
that
in front of you here, America.
but you know, when a friend calls and tells you they need support and help, you know, you rise to the challenge.
Absolutely. And speaking of cats, let me welcome Aaron Darr, our millennial participant, Secretary of the Dolphin Democrats. Aaron, your hands are full tonight, dude.
I know. You better watch saying the word cats up here. You never know who's going to grab what.
Right?
And we're off to the races.
And we're off to the races.
I'm just wondering what his hands are full of.
Here is, by the way, I think, to my knowledge, in 64, 66 shows, the first straight married man we've ever had as a guest host on the show, Scott Newmark. And not only is that interesting and unusual at It's Happening Out, Scott is president of Americans for Trump. Joe, you finally have an ally on the show. Absolutely. And wait, let us prove Scott Newmark's ally of Joe Brookman. I don't know if you've heard, but last night here in Fort Lauderdale, Air Force One touched down, helicopter flight in.
Yes.
President Trump has moved his flag from New York City to South Florida and is now the President of the United States. Donald Trump is a resident of the gayest place on planet Earth. Watch what Scott did last night. Watch this. All right. We'll come back to it.
Gotta pause.
Scott did the posting of Americans for Trump, and when we have that queued up, we'll do. But Scott, welcome.
Lance, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you so much for having me back. You know I love this show. It's a pleasure to be on It's Happening Out. And I'm looking forward to the challenge like I always am on your beautiful show. So I say, bring it on, baby. I'm ready.
Excuse me. It's Happening Out. Challenge accepted, dude. Challenge accepted. All right. And of course, you know Joe Brookman, Log Cabin Republicans host at It's Happening Out. Joe, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Oh, I know. I threw together. Yes.
And
Well, I
we
had
couldn't.
to come to report what happened last
Yeah,
night.
and
at
you
the
went
arena.
to
Yes.
you went to the arena
Yes, I
last night.
did.
Tell us quickly what
Yes, I
that was
did.
like.
It was actually amazing. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to go 12 miles because lines were so backed up to get into the arena. I got there at 7:10, and they closed the doors at 7 because the president is there. So I stayed outside, but in staying outside, I had the opportunity to interview so many people. There were thousands of people outside watching from the jumbotron and applauding along with the
Joe,
president.
you're going to have to get to your point because
Okay.
the Republicans didn't pay enough money for the time of what you're getting ready to
Oh yeah. Oh no. I interviewed a lot of great people, teens, moms and dads, lots of millennials. And so I did a number of interviews, and I'll be packaging those and sharing those. So we got some great highlights from those interviews.
Joe, forgive me for making the joke, but did I just hear Scott is near the stage for Americans for Trump, but the gay guy is locked outside the doors?
I got there late.
Okay, so it was. All right, I'm
even
making
tried
a
to be
joke,
pressed,
America.
but when you get there past 7,
Exactly.
They do not play.
They
Production's
do
going to
not
help
play.
us to find that video so we can
No.
show that video from the president's visit last night.
You know,
but the interesting part is I interviewed people from Cuba, Venezuela, Brazil, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Utah, California, and Massachusetts.
Joe, that will be $1 more $1,000 for the Republican National Committee.
You can take it out of my salary
All right,
now.
let's. Oh yeah, okay. There's truth
There
to
you
that.
go.
All right, let's get the show started. And as you know, America, we start every week a little lighter. We'll probably get into some interesting conversation, and we begin with the meme of the week. And we're showing you the meme of the week here now. And we're back to a political meme. If you like subpoena coladas and getting caught in Ukraine.
Oh, no.
Sounds like Christmas.
And Thanksgiving?
You know,
I know.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Right?
You know what's
I do
interesting?
think-
for that.
You know what's interesting about this meme here is that let's look at who's getting caught in Ukraine. I mean, so far we have Joe Biden's son,
Hunter.
Yes.
Hunter,
Yeah.
in
Yes.
Ukraine. Let's not forget we have now Romney is now involved with this whole Ukraine thing. It seems to be everybody has their hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
In
Except Trump.
Ukraine.
The most
And-
the most important thing is this is a lighthearted meme of the week. I'm sure we'll get into more of
Ah,
that later.
yes.
So let's move on. Next, we want to start the show with the best thing of the week. Now, I think this is also a first for us. Normally, our video for best thing of the week is something that's uber gay. We have practically naked gay guys dancing and singing and whatever.
Aaron?
Tonight, occasionally.
Oh, you were pointing. So that
Yeah.
was-
No, the shots hasn't started yet. Right, exactly. This week, because it's Thanksgiving, we thought, let's do a little something different for Thanksgiving. And our best thing of the week is called The Sexy Pilgrim. Watch this.
We are thankful for our survival, these new allies, and this bountiful feast. Thank you. You're welcome.
You think my turkey should win awards? You're welcome. Wanna touch my decorative gourds? You're welcome. Amazed at my colorful corn. Must be the best day since you were born. You're welcome. Back in the UK, they disrespected my style, so I split for the new world to party a while. Was a banging boat ride. We broke all the taboos. Hardly no one got scurvy. You could call it a cruise. Oh, just bought 2 tickets to the Musket Show. My voice is a feast for your ears. I'm not afraid to cry real tears. What up, yo, pretty lady? You like the cut of my socks? My pilgrim cape? This Plymouth Rock? I look so good that it hurts. You're right, I didn't button my shirt. You're welcome. How'd I get these abs? Crunches. How do I solve crimes? Punches. On Thanksgiving, don't shy away from giving me thanks, 'cause girl, you'll thank me from head to toe. For all the times I said you're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, I got a secret. What? You're welcome. You're welcome. And Wampa, you know I get paid. You're welcome. Don't know why they said you overstayed. You're welcome.
Okay, that's Thanksgiving and the Sexy Pilgrim. And next, I thought that was great, but next week I look forward to Sexy.
Can I get him to come to my door?
Yeah, yeah.
Will you pay for it, Al?
He's straight, Joe. He's
That's
straight.
okay. He can still strip.
All right. So that's our best thing of the week. Finally, we start our show off with I'd Swallow That. Now, many of our hosts tonight have not played this game before, and this is an industrial drinking game. Are you ready for that, Jonathan? Just say yes.
Of course.
Okay.
All
right.
I went to University of Miami.
Yeah.
I know how to do.
Oh, yeah. You went to the University of Miami.
Jonathan.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
You, baby.
All right.
Right.
All right. So, America.
I don't know.
I know. It's strange,
What
isn't
is
it?
going on?
I know.
People getting along? What?
It's right. All right. So at I'd Swallow That, it is a drinking game, and I'm going to ask the host a question. If they agree, they're going to pick up their shot and they're going to drink their vodka shot. If they disagree, they don't touch the shot. And we encourage all of you at home to play along with us. It's very interesting. All right. Ready? You understand the rules?
Ready.
I'd Swallow That. And this is where Aaron starts to move into the show with all of the shots that he does. All right. I'd Swallow That. Question number 1. Instead of admitting I'm wrong, I can justify the hell out of anything. Damn attorney reaches for the fastest. Really?
Absolutely not. Oh my gosh, I could never justify doing certain
Voting for
things.
Hillary.
No,
Right.
Never justify it.
No, he's already.
No, crooked Hillary.
She's already starting over here. She wants attention. That's cute. It's my time, honey. No, I don't think I could ever honestly justify selling out our country for whether it be treason or violating the
I'm not sure the question went that far.
Thank you.
I took it to that. That's why I kind of figured he perhaps took the shot.
All right.
But,
So Scott is an attorney, president of Americans for Trump, and you quickly, and professionally turned your shot over.
I think he's done it.
Wow.
He's very
evidently.
And
Practicing out over 33 years, 3 decades in the practice of law.
Yeah.
Every single American is entitled to a defense.
Yeah.
And you give me a position, I am going to defend it.
Yeah, okay.
Right or wrong, it's up to the government to prove guilt.
But you know, at the same time,
Actually,
this
it's up
comes
to
at
the
this
judges to do
This
that.
comes at huge opportunity cost to us as citizens of this country, because every time we're investigating Russia, every time we're investigating this, for impeachment, we're not talking about things that matter. Like, for example, bees are dying. We have a patch of garbage in the ocean that is the size of Texas.
Wait, let me.
What was the question?
I was going to say, I can justify the hell out of anything. You didn't take a shot, so you're not able to do that?
The truth is the truth is the truth. And
Yeah.
if I have to tell the truth, I'm not going to justify it by a lie.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
And you're married.
Yes.
All right. That's question number 1.
I don't lie.
Question.
I'm a little slow on the uptake.
That's right. It was a little test. Question number 2. I'd swallow that. It's Thanksgiving. I'm planning on putting up my Christmas decorations this weekend. Who's the geek?
I begrudgingly do. But
Really? Really? All right.
Yes.
I've got to come to the president of Americans for Trump. You don't celebrate Christmas. You don't think this is the weekend.
No, Al. Actually, it's funny you asked that. I'm Jewish. I love Christmas.
Okay. All right.
I love Christmas dinners and Christmas music. My wife's Christian. She's in the audience. But the only reason we're not doing it this month or tomorrow is because we're taking a fantastic trip to Europe at the end of the month, and we don't have time for Christmas decorations in the house. But otherwise, they would be up tomorrow.
America, you heard it here first. Scott Newmark is on his way to Kiev in Ukraine.
No,
Going to Europe. Apparently.
no, wait. No, that was last summer.
He's actually going over there to interview Burisma and Hunter Biden.
Okay, all right. And Aaron, you took a shot. You're going to do decorations.
I
this
am going to
weekend?
do decorations. This
Millennial?
weekend. Yeah.
Planning and doing something?
I know, right? No, of course. No, I'm going to do that this weekend as well as work out in the yard. Like I said, it's beautiful weather right now here, especially in South Florida. So to be outside and be able to do this, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move
I'm
on
confused. Decorations are inside or is outside?
no,
Oh, I'm in
outside,
New York.
inside.
Both.
We didn't
You do
that.
both. You do
Okay.
both.
Yeah,
Honey,
got
you're
you.
talking to a gay man. We really deck
You go
the
all
hall.
out.
Wait,
Yeah.
deck the hall.
You haven't been to my house
Wait,
yet.
define hall. I want to. No,
right.
no. All right.
Fa la la
Not
la la
Paul.
la.
Not
right.
Paul.
Let's go on to
Not
question
Paul.
number 3. I'd swallow that. I have found that most people are still scared to date someone with HIV.
Oh, my
An
God.
interesting World AIDS Day. Whoa. Everybody's on that shot.
It's my third shot now. Jeez.
Joe, tell us about that.
What is that?
Well,
You took the
uh,
shot because?
I took the shot because once I became positive, because it was through a lie of somebody I was dating, I made the commitment to myself that anybody I spoke to, they would know that I was positive before we got involved. And I was prepared. There was a lot of no's, and there still are a lot of people that go, "Oh, you're positive."
Stigma.
Stigma.
is what
It's
you're talking
stigma.
about.
Yes.
The
Aaron-
stigma's real.
Yeah. Aaron, I'm curious. You took the shot. How come?
Well, absolutely. You know, I've outside of politics, I've been very much so an advocate since the age of 16. I found out I was HIV positive December 23rd, 2008. I'd only ever slept with 2 people, and it's interesting having that conversation, Joe. You know that firsthand. I always love it talking about stigma when people say you'll often get the question as it pertains to HIV, "Are you clean?" And I find that so offensive because it's the alternative is, am
Clean
I dirty?
being whether you're
Am I
negative
clean?
or
Am I
positive?
negative or am I
Negative or
positive?
positive.
So then the alternative to the word clean, what do you think of that? Do you think
You're
dirty?
dirty.
You're dirty. And I find that so offensive. So immediately I'm like, okay, block. But outside of that, it's hard. It's a coming out process all over again. And for me, when I've gone out on a couple of dates with someone, I have to sit down, eventually have that conversation with them. There have been instances in my life where they want absolutely nothing to do with me, and that's okay because I just feel that perhaps they were not in God's plan for me anyway.
Absolutely.
I want to come,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to come to you too, Jonathan, as director of marketing at Care Resource. One of the principal issues that you do in terms of providing health services. I noticed you take the shot. What do you think about scared and stigma?
Well, I read today that 23% of millennials are afraid to hug somebody who has HIV. That was alarming. But I was thinking back to one of my first early experiences working alongside people affected by HIV/AIDS, and it reminds me of when I was Peace Corps, and this was around 2006. I was in South Africa. And I was working with a lot of kids who were affected. A lot of them were street kids. But I had this one kid in particular. His name was Tapelo, and it meant prayer. And he was like the kid who always carried my backpack. He always carried my hat. He was kind of like my sidekick companion. And he was 7 years old, and he had AIDS, and he died at 7 years old. And I remember when all the kids came to my office and they were like, "Mr. Welsh." And I was like, what's going on? And they were like, "Tapelo, he's no longer with us." And I think that was the hardest experience of my life, seeing somebody was so full of life, so young, dying. And now, fast forward all these years later, I think he's with me. Every time I'm doing something for AIDS Walk or Care Resource, I feel I'm not alone. He's with me, he's on my shoulder. So when you're in this fight, you don't do it alone. You do it with people who you remember, so they're not forgotten. We should make sure to elevate those people in discussions today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Requel, a perfect transition to your role at the World AIDS Museum. Tell us a little bit, as it relates to this question, you took the shot also in terms of people that are still scared to even date or hug 23% of millennials of HIV. What is your experience as the executive director of the World AIDS Museum?
I'll give you, I think that the statement is incredibly true. And when we do our educational programming in schools or we go to community organizations, it's interesting to watch people, as you're presenting, have that instant, are you positive or are you not positive?
Yes.
Can I go give you a hug? Can I not go give you a hug? And so recently I was at a conference of non-HIV or related information. And so they would ask, well, why do we need a museum for HIV? And so for the first time I got angry. It was because there's a need for it. We have to continue to have this in our conversations. And the minute we don't have it in our conversations is the minute we're all not going to listen.
And I want to provide an underline or a highlighter to your observation. America, I encourage you, gay America, I encourage you, gosh, can we possibly provide justification for sharing us or starting a watch party? Because you're hearing conversation like this, which is really quite unique. This is live. We are coming to you live on Thanksgiving Eve. I appreciate the question.
No, just to mirror that, in the Bible, all significant events are held up by monuments and celebrations to remember. God's big command is remember this, remember when this, remember this. And I think AIDS and or to the point of the cure for AIDS is something that the museum itself is set up so that we remember, because we do need to remember.
Yeah, and we're going to never forget about the World AIDS Museum in later segments.
So well stated.
Let's one final question, because we have some shots left.
Yes.
And so we have one final. I'd swallow that. You're just getting ahead.
No, he's trying to catch up.
Is that what you're trying to do?
That was a little bit much.
I'd swallow that. And let's lighten it up just a little. Question number 4. Come on, America, play along with us. I'd swallow that. It wouldn't be the holidays without a bit of family drama this weekend. Whoops. Oh, I can see it doesn't matter. Gay man, lesbian woman, gay man, straight man. I can see married, single,
millennial.
It's called life
It
and
is.
family.
Thank you.
How do you, as a millennial, how do you manage the family drama?
Well, most of my family is in Ohio, and
oh, well, that's easy. 2,000 miles.
I just don't go back. I just don't go back.
That's what I just said.
My mom will call me all the time, and she'll yes it to me on the phone and whatnot. I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't we all just get along? But then I sit there and I think to myself, I'm not there with them. Yeah. If I was there with them, maybe it might be a little bit different.
Yeah,
but
did you just become uber Jewish?
I was about to say, what happened?
Because I was God.
Is he washing off on you?
Yeah.
You're around Debbie Wasserman.
You're going to change
and her staff.
Oh wait!
It comes
full disclosure: you work for Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You heard of her?
I think I've heard of her.
Yeah,
he likes her.
Right.
She's great.
For you, family drama for a married lesbian couple, it must be a little different. What's that like in dealing with family drama?
So not with that. I mean, they love her. So it's the exceptions. I'm talking about in the 70s when we had Nixon in charge, and we had some family members who were for Nixon and some were not. And you would hear...
Have you ever heard of Donald Trump?
I have, but this is my correlation leading up to conversations.
Oh, okay.
It's that I see the parallel for both of them. But you could hear them all the way down the street.
So the family drama is politics bleeding over into
We don't talk
everything.
about politics anymore in the household.
You can't
during
do it.
holiday season.
Yeah.
We talk about all the other times, but not during.
But not the holidays.
Thanks,
Suspension.
It's a day of thanks.
Yes.
For all God's
All right.
sake.
So that is our game. I'd swallow that. We hope you enjoyed it. You play along with us every
am I allowed
single
to
way.
swallow this?
I think I
if
would
you
have-
want, you can take more. You can do a
Cheers,
Thanksgiving
everybody.
shot.
Cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Mazel tov.
All right,
Mazel
I'll
tov.
drink to that. America, happy
I'm the only one who
Thanksgiving.
Happy
literally drank mine before.
Raquel.
No, come this
That's
way.
that's the
There we
millennial
go.
That's
thing.
the millennial in me. I'm like,
Yeah.
party, yellow.
Al, as we say in Russian, Ostrovia.
I love love it.
Dude, you're falling into all the stereotypes. You're making it too easy for
No
me. You're
shame,
making
no
it
shame.
right. Exactly. All right. Let's move out of our game. I'd swallow that, and that is into happening now, or breaking news. We show you a little animation of happening now. This is the trending news in America. Guess what? What do we think the trending news is? Yes. We already know what that is.
Trump's homecoming.
We're going to, yes, his welcome home to the
flag
gayest
has been
place on
planted.
planet Earth. By the way, President Trump, call It's Happening Out because we'd love to have you on the show. In our happening now breaking news, we are reporting on Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff has gone on record to say that the case against Donald Trump is ironclad. But he will not say that he is impeached, that he will be impeached, but he does believe the process will take place before Christmas.
This is
interesting.
true. However,
wait.
Adam Schiff-
Hold on. I have to set
Hold
the
on.
conversation
Still the
up,
conver-
Joe.
Oh.
64 weeks, and you're
64
still...
weeks. I'm still
okay?
interrupting because
All right.
Adam
So-
Schiff said the same thing
Yeah,
on the
well,
collusion.
now you have
Okay.
another guy standing next to you that's going to help you tonight. All right, so let's watch this video first and set up the story of our breaking happening now.
We don't foreclose the possibility of more depositions, more hearings. We are in the process of getting more documents all the time. So that investigative work is going to go on. What we're not prepared to do is wait months and months while the administration plays a game of rope-a-dope in an effort to try to stall. We're not willing to go down that road. And what's more, the evidence is already overwhelming. The remarkable thing about this, and we've done this with almost, well, literally no documentary production from the administration, is the facts are really not contested. It's really not contested what the president did. What is open to question is whether members of Congress are going to do their duty, and whether there will be anyone like Howard Baker, anyone on the Republican side that is willing to put their country, their Constitution, above the party or even the person of this president, because I don't think he really represents at least what the Republican Party used to stand for.
Well, in conjunction with this, as we now know, on Monday, the federal district judge ruled that the issue of not being able to have to testify if the president directs is not true, and has ruled against the Department of Justice ruling. So it related to the Mueller report in terms of testifying, but it is certainly going to be applied, unless it is stayed, to all of those that are holding out in terms of testifying. But in terms of Schiff's point, what do y'all think about where we are? What's going to happen next in terms of?
Well, I'd love to start off with this. You know, as Scott was saying earlier, defense, having any kind of a defense. And part of having a defense is letting due process play out. Whether you're Democrat or whether you're Republican, we are living in a democracy where, whether there's an impeachment going on or whether there's not an impeachment going on, we as the American people, regardless of who we voted for president, deserve to have a thoughtful, respectful investigation and conversation as it pertains to, and I know this might shock you, Joe, but this thing called facts. Not fake news, not alternative facts, but real facts as to what actually happened as it pertains to not just potential collusion within Russia or a foreign entity into our presidential election, but also what's going on right now in Ukraine with a phone call that was acknowledged by this administration that actually did take place. So let the process play out. The Congress has stated hold on, Joe.
Well,
Congress has stated that that this impeachment inquiry will likely end, and they will go through a formal vote for impeachment just in the House of Representatives, not Senate, by the end of the year. And they just have to have majority, which they will in the House. But the Senate, that's a different story.
I'm curious, before we get into other minutiae details, when it's all but certain, let's make an assumption, but it's all but certain that the House is going to vote to impeach him.
It's not.
It is. It is.
It's
okay.
not.
All right. Well, how come?
Because there are a number of Democrats in Trump-led districts
Two.
that have
I mean,
Look at the impeachment inquiry. Look at who didn't. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
No, that have already come out and said it. And there's actually a couple that have retracted that statement because they got pressure from Nancy
And who
Pelosi.
are they? Who are they? Who can you name?
I don't.
right now?
I don't have the names on the top of my head.
Because you probably
Well,
read it
okay.
somewhere where it's not
and you can
actual
bring
factual
that up.
information.
You can bring that up, Aaron. But the fact is, from the supposed trial, it was not equal justice. And everything that's been produced so far is based upon hearsay. Nobody has stated by fact that they heard the president say that. It's all hearsay evidence, and that is not admissible in the
Joe,
court of
let
law.
me challenge that observation. The
It's
federal
not a
court,
challenge. It's
the
true.
federal judge ruled
No.
that they must testify. And
That is
applies
not
to
the point
Mueller.
that
I understand.
Do you think that Donald Trump should testify in front of?
No.
No.
And the reason,
That's insane.
no,
That's
and the reason is,
insane.
and the reason
That's so
is,
disrespectful.
no,
to the
it's not.
Constitution that you
No,
say
it's
that
not,
you
because
literally
there's a
have
division.
the utmost respect for.
Okay.
That's so offensive.
Let's-
Joe.
No, it's not, because
Yes,
you have
it
to have a
is.
separation of powers. And if you do not,
Al.
if you
The
do not
federal,
observe,
I'm coming
in-
to you. The
exec-
federal judge specifically
that-
ruled
and
about
it is
the
going to be
standard.
It is going to
You're
be
talking
appealed
over me.
It is going to be appealed.
You're going to talk over me no matter what.
Well, I've been talked over the whole time.
You haven't.
I'm blind.
Yes, I have.
Started on talking over Aaron.
He talked over me.
Why
You're
would
wrong.
you
Don't
fight
keep
about
going, babe. Here,
that?
Keep
I will
going.
try to be more respectful and mindful of
And I will you too.
your delusion.
Here's
Can the lawyer get in here?
okay. The
ahead.
lawyer. All right. Let's have the.
No, I
let's
want
have
Al.
the
No,
lawyer.
Al,
Let's bring
you
it.
finish.
Well, the point that I wanted to try to elevate the conversation is if we could set the House aside for a moment and it goes to the Senate and it becomes a hearing. The Chief Justice is going to preside in the Senate. What if the Chief Justice says the inner circle of aides must testify in the trial in the Senate, and the firsthand knowledge that you say doesn't exist has been exempted because the president said don't testify. Now
you
the federal
creating a
court has
Hold on, let him talk.
again, the federal court says you, in terms of separation of powers, have a requirement to testify before Congress. And my question is, if the Supreme Court justice says, okay, Giuliani or whoever must testify now, firsthand knowledge will take place.
You're creating a hypothetical that will not take place, and you're asking people to make a judgment on a hypothetical that won't take place because of the separation of the branches of power.
And I don't see why you are so upset, because every time Chef opens his mouth, Trump's ratings go up and his fundraising increases. Every time Nancy Pelosi opens her mouth, Trump's fundraising and his polls increase. You should be just cheering Adam Schiff away, because every time he opens his mouth, America can't stand him. You know what America says about him? They say that he's creepy, that he has weird eyes. They say he has a history
Well,
of...
they say that
they
about
say
Trump,
he has a
and yet we
history
still are here.
of lying. He went up there, he talked about, he read the script as if it was parody. I mean, he's lost all credibility, and he's up there self-righteous talking about respect the Constitution. He has no respect for the Constitution. So I say, let this Stalin-esque show trial continue, because if anything, it exposes the Democratic Party, exposes the process, it exposes this illusion of democracy that we have, because it's Stalin-esque, it's a show trial, and Americans see through it. They think the mainstream media thinks Americans are idiots. They think that all millennials talk like him. I'm sorry, you're on a different spectrum of being a millennial. I was born in 80. I don't know what you were born, 91 or something. But there are a lot of people who are millennials, who are working, paying taxes, who are business owners, who are making stuff happen, who see through the mainstream media.
Okay.
So when I see these men talking, you know, and there are things that they say that resonate, because there's the diversity in the LGBT community when it comes to political thought is more diverse than what you think.
Okay, and with that, and I promise I'll come back to you, I want to allow the attorney to jump into the conversation.
No, and I appreciate
What do you
it.
think
And
about
everyone's made very excellent comments. But one of the things I want your audience to know is that the judge's decision that just came out that we're all talking about dealt with an issue called absolute immunity.
Yes.
That means that no executive branch official would have to testify for any reason. And the federal judge ruled, no, that's not compatible with the Constitution, meaning that the executive branch official would have to appear before Congress, but the way it works actually is that those executive branch officials can, at the time sitting in front of the Judiciary Committee, could assert executive privilege at the time and could not testify as to anything they say is privilege by the executive
Allow me
branch.
to, I apologize.
Now, this is a technical issue,
Let
but
me
it's very
interrupt
important.
to that observation, because I hear that clearly. Do you think Giuliani or some other in the inner circle around the president should therefore go to Judiciary Committee and honor the subpoena and then assert executive privilege, but sitting at the table in front of the committee? Do you think they should do that?
Well, the Rudy example, Rudy hasn't been subpoenaed yet to appear.
Okay, but he's going to be.
And if he is, of course.
Maybe.
As a lawyer, yes, you have to comply with
I want to make sure that I'm clear in terms of helping push this along.
No.
So your observation is
Don't forget
they
this
should
aid-
go.
this
Hold on,
aid-
let me
this
finish
aid
my
wasn't
question.
like humanitarian.
Please allow me to push the question forward. So your observation is that they should go to committee and then they represent executive privilege or exemption.
In other words, if this judge's decision is upheld on appeal, then yes, they would have to appear in front of the
Scott, I'm
Judiciary
curious.
Committee.
Okay, and
But it will be appealed.
I know, and it'll be interesting to see if we see a stay. But interesting to me on your observation, because I fundamentally don't disagree with what you just said. My question is, why the fight? Like like Bolton, why the absolute we're not going to appear, period, the end? Why don't they implement your observation, which is go to the committee and testify and assert executive privilege?
Well,
why don't they do that?
That's what they ultimately may do, but they're all taking the position of absolute.
I know, but
executive
why are
privilege.
they doing that?
Because to uphold the historical division between separation of powers between the executive and the legislative branches.
Okay.
And Obama did that too, by the way. Seriously.
He did?
Yes,
When?
he did.
100%.
When?
Fast and Furious.
Fast and
When?
Furious,
When?
and it goes
No,
on
no,
and
when?
on.
No,
When?
Aaron,
He just
did.
told you.
No, tell me a specific example when
he just told
when Barack
you. Fast
Obama
and
was
Furious.
called
Aaron,
to
he did.
testify in front of
Oh.
the United States
Oh.
Congress about
No, he
anything that
did.
he did to perhaps break the law.
I don't know about breaking the law, but Obama actually
my
did
God.
that. All
See-
presidents do that.
If you give me a person and give me a
there's-
budget, I'll find the crime.
By the
If
way-
you give me unlimited time, if you give me a budget, give me a person, I will find a crime on you. You can do that to anybody, and it's scary.
That's right.
And that's great, and that's wonderful. Can we please let the woman talk?
I'm
please, can we
coming-
please let a woman talk and have a voice at the table?
Actually, I was going to say in terms of happening now, Requel, because we're going to move on, I'm sure we'll
Yes.
return to other political issues, but I'm going to give you the final word.
I think that civil discourse has been lost in this country, and that this is an example of that. That we can't even have a conversation that says we may disagree with your candidate, and yet he's still the president. And so if we can't even have that and have facts with it, we can sit here and talk till we're blue in the face of how he's this, he's that. I might find him apprehensible in the way in which he acts in public, and yet he's still the president. And so I need to deal with that. What is it about the impeachment, and what has he actually done that goes to that level? I think that there's a conflict of interest. He's using it as a way in which to further his business. You can't say that there aren't some examples of that. And so for me, I'd like to hear, I think that civil discourse is a conversation about what it is that you like about him, what is he really doing for our country? On both sides is what we really need to go to. Other this back and forth crap is not working anymore.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So that is our happening now. No, I have to move on. I'm
let's
sorry.
move on.
Our happening now, breaking news, of course, in terms of what's happening in impeachment. Before we move on into our next segment, we want to show you a celebration, and we're going to do this throughout the show tonight, of the celebration of World AIDS Day. We're here at the World AIDS Museum. Remember, sometimes we act as Americans myopically thinking the entire world is America. It is not. It is the world. And so we want to show you some samples of what is being talked about around the world on World AIDS Day. And we begin in India. And we want to show you something that was put out by a medical hospital in India, I believe Mumbai. Watch this.
Breaking barriers. Building bridges. World AIDS Day 2018. Stigma and discrimination still deters people from taking an HIV test. Fight AIDS, not people with AIDS. People who are infected with HIV need care and support from their friends, families, and community. Now is the time to act.
Well, again, we're broadcasting from the World AIDS Museum in the heart of the gayest place on planet Earth. Thank you, Requel, for having us, and an example of the messages of World AIDS Day that is coming December 1st, and that from India. We move into our celebrity hot topics. We lighten it up a little bit in terms of the comparison to impeachment, and we have a couple of things that we're going to talk about tonight. First off, I'm so happy that Power Infiniti is not here tonight, because celebrity hot topic number one is about RuPaul, and we would be very unhappy. RuPaul is on the cover of Vanity Fair. Oh my goodness, look at this cover. And RuPaul is getting ready to go into scripted comedy, scripted television comedy. New Netflix show has been announced, and we're going to show you a little preview of what RuPaul is getting ready to do. Watch this.
Please give it up for the legendary Miss Ruby Ray. I'm on my way. Nothing can stop me now. No one can bring me down. I'm on my way. Just let me show you how much is inside me now. I'm on my way.
Okay, I have a fantastic opportunity, America, that I just can't pass up. The president of Americans for Trump is sitting in front of me, straight married man. You're a huge fan of RuPaul, I bet.
Yes, I am.
He just proved his shot earlier. I can sell anything.
I can sell anything. I am a big fan. Watch this. Great entertainer. Winning.
All right.
I just can't see RuPaul in comedy.
Yeah, and scripted comedy. It's going to be a scripted comedy about a drag queen and a drag performance club.
I know, but
what do y'all think?
That her scripted comedy in the Drag Race isn't.
I remember her.
But it's a difference of being a host in it and actually. Okay. I just think that.
I used to see her over in New York City at Virgin Records signing autographs back in the day, and to see her all fast forward all these years later.
I know, it's amazing.
I love seeing people from the community doing well.
Yes.
I love seeing people who are able to build businesses and do well. To me, she represents an entrepreneur. Not just fashion, but business icon.
Yeah.
Because that takes hard work. That takes getting up every morning and working it, and looking good.
And that is the American dream.
Yes.
The American dream, coming from nothing and building something for yourself.
Let me point out, love RuPaul, hate RuPaul. I happen to love RuPaul.
Love her.
Love her.
RuPaul's business acumen. Let me do a quick synopsis of what is happening right now in RuPaul's world. There's RuPaul's Drag Race, I think, season number 67 or something. There is
12.
RuPaul's 12. Okay,
I do watch.
12. RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars season 31.
Yes.
5. There you go.
Oh, I love it. It's so great.
An uber gay
My
boy.
grandma, who is watching right now, my grandmother Karen, love you. She and I love RuPaul's Drag Race.
Your grandmother is a big RuPaul fan?
She is the most liberal Baptist you'll ever meet in your life.
There's RuPaul's Drag Race Britain. There's RuPaul's Drag Race Australia.
Taiwan. There's a Taiwan.
is
It's
coming.
amazing. The subtitles are
This
on
show,
YouTube.
DragCon Los Angeles, DragCon New York.
New York.
It's like, and now this scripted comedy
She's
on
taking
Netflix.
over the world.
And she
I
is
love
literally becoming the
I love
supermodel
it.
of the world.
But you know what? Even to add to that, with what I was saying about my grandmother, I remember the first couple of episodes we watched, and whatnot. My grandmother, bless her heart, I'm in the South now, so I can say bless your heart.
Oh, do you know what that means?
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold on a second.
Right.
No, you just said F you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless
Bless
your
your
heart.
heart.
Not-
It's still,
Not-
still Magnolia.
But in a different way.
in the
But
re-
in a
not
different way.
in a different way with
not
my
in the real
grandma.
South.
In a different way.
Not in the real
But
South.
outside of that, I remember my grandmother and I watching the first couple of episodes, and she thought all of the actual individuals who were competing on the show were women, and she thought Michelle Visage was actually a man. She's like, that's the man. I'm like, no, Grandma.
Yes,
no,
Grandma.
No.
Okay,
Grandma
Grandma
Darr, this is a show where you try to figure out who the man is.
I have
And
to
remember,
confess.
Okay. All right.
It's great because it's opening drag culture to people who
But I
perhaps
think
might
it
not have
says
seen
more
before.
than just RuPaul. This has been a year of all transgender individuals coming out in full bloom with Pose and Angelica Ross and all the good stuff coming from that
Absolutely.
community.
Absolutely.
This is not just about her. This is about all the people this year who've been making a lot of headway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. All right.
Just one moment. I have to confess. I agree with your grandmother. The first time I watched RuPaul, I was trying to figure out whether Michelle Visage was a man or a woman. I'm sorry, Michelle.
I have cruised on a cruise ship with Michelle Visage 6-7 times. I assure you, she's as woman as it gets.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. All right, that's RuPaul. Let's move into Celebrity Hot Topics number 2, and that's about the American Music Awards. They were Sunday night. There was lots of fashion. There was lots of music. Just a quick touch base in. What did y'all think about the American Music Awards and what happened on Sunday night? Any thoughts?
Yes.
Did anyone here watch it?
I
No.
didn't watch
No.
it. No.
Did anybody watch the
Absolute
AMA?
waste of time.
Nope. Oh, it's not a waste of time, but there are other things to focus on, like our
Right.
democracy in crisis, collusion, impeachment, treason,
Treason.
many other things to focus on that are very
The Trash Island. I like that one, though, actually. I agree with you on that.
Well, I mean, Sundays are a time too for people to kind of turn the TV off and spend time with family.
Or football.
Or football.
Absolutely
And if-
football.
Yeah.
Or,
New England
or go
all the
outside and do
way.
Yes.
activities. So
Absolutely,
Sunday
Patriots.
fun day.
My Redskins suck this year.
My
Jay-
Patriots
Big time.
winning
Jay
over
America-
Dallas. Let's go.
I don't know if y'all remember, there was a commercial in
Dallas.
the 1970s
Oh.
about... trying to focus. I don't know if y'all remember, there was a commercial in the 1970s about trash in America, and there was an American, a
Indian.
Native,
Yeah, Native American.
Indian,
Yes, that was
and
a
the
good
tear
commercial.
down the cheek. Do you remember that commercial?
Yes.
That's exactly what's happening on gay pulp culture right now. There's a tear going down the cheek.
No,
All right,
no.
topic number
It
2
takes
on the,
everybody to make
that's
up
topic
the
number
culture.
2 in Celebrity Hot Topics of the American Music Awards. Apparently, not so important to us.
Yeah.
We want to again touch base in showing you about what's happening on World AIDS Day as we broadcast from the World AIDS Museum. And this time, we want to show you something that Australia is doing. Very interesting from Australia. Watch this.
So there are 2 main challenges. The first is to improve HIV prevention. At the moment, there are 2.5 million new infections, people getting infected with HIV a year, which is far too high. The second is to continue to provide effective treatment for the 35 million people who are already infected with HIV and living with it. We're working in 2 areas with a lot of partners. The first is around HIV testing to improve the access people have to testing and to improve the numbers who get tested. The second is a really large trial across Queensland trying to evaluate and roll out what is called pre-exposure prophylaxis. That's providing medicines that protect people who are at high risk of HIV.
A World AIDS Day message from Australia, and while we're just showing you some samples, oh my goodness, I love Australian accents. I don't know what it is, but I love their accents. It moves us into headlines tonight, and there are a couple of big headlines going on in the news. First, in topic number 1 that we want to discuss is the billionaire in the room, and we're not talking about Donald Trump. Michael Bloomberg comes in. and he has moved into the presidential race. And interesting, we want to show you the news about this and some of the Democratic candidates' comments about Michael Bloomberg coming into the Democratic nomination race. Watch this.
Mike Bloomberg started as a middle-class kid who had to work his way through college, then built a business from a single room to a global entity, creating tens of thousands of good-paying jobs along the way. He could have stopped there. But when New York suffered the terrible tragedy of 9/11, he took charge, becoming a 3-term mayor who brought a city back from the ashes. But now he sees a different kind of menace coming from Washington, so there's no stopping here. Because there's an America waiting to be rebuilt. Mike Bloomberg for president, jobs creator, leader, problem solver. It's going to take all three to build back a country.
Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, as you just saw there, officially has entered the 2020 presidential race. He also made a $31 million ad buy for television commercials, which dwarfs the entire advertising budgets of rival campaigns. Here's how some of the other candidates reacted to Mayor Bloomberg getting in the race.
We do not believe that billionaires have the right to buy elections. That is why multi-billionaires like Mr. Bloomberg are not going to get very far in this election.
Elections should not be for sale, not to billionaires, not to corporate executives. We need to build a grassroots movement. That's how democracy is supposed to work.
Money will not win this election. Connecting with people will.
You know, listen, we got to get money out of politics. Let me just be honest with you. I mean, I got to raise a ton of money to be competitive. And, you know, there's some people who started this race with $10 million.
Okay, well, it is gigantic news. Even if you do not know gay America or America, that this is gigantic news, it is. I assure you. We begin this conversation. I'm going to come to Scott first, but let me give you a couple of facts. The $31 million ad buy is larger than all of the other Democratic candidates combined. He has given up the first 4 primaries, and one of his arguments, although it's a timing issue, is that Iowa and New Hampshire do not adequately reflect the diversity of America, and so therefore are irrelevant. And it's only 4% of the delegates up for stake, whereas Super Tuesday is something like 62% of all of the delegates. He is worth approximately $54 billion and has committed no PAC money, and that he can completely self-fund the entire presidential election all the way to November 3rd, 2020. The amount of interest that he makes on his fortune is more money than the last presidential campaign that Donald Trump spent in all ways. He makes more money in his interest than that. So he is capable of doing it. Everyone rejects him immediately as being a billionaire. And then the counter argument is this the new anti-Trump? Because he starts at 0%, and in the first 12 days, he moves to 3% in the polls instantaneously without almost no words coming out of his mouth because of money. Now, what do y'all think about Michael Bloomberg coming into the election? Scott, we'll start with you.
There is a lot to unpackage on what you just said, but let me tell you, and this is going to be a first for the president of Americans for Trump. I'm going to agree with Crazy Bernie. I'm going to agree with Pocahontas, and I'm going to agree with Spartacus. Little Michael Bloomberg has 0 chance of being the Democrat nominee. There's no way this little guy is going to be the nominee. He is not going to buy the nomination. The Democrats are not going to let him get the nomination because they don't want a 77-year-old white man who isn't woke, who agreed with stop and frisk, who had a phony apology the other day to be the nominee.
Scott, if I can interrupt you, how old is
Period.
How old is Donald Trump?
He's younger than that guy.
How much younger?
72,
Couple of years. But Donald's authentic. He's a fraud.
Okay.
He's a phony. This guy's a phony.
Okay.
All
right.
If I can mention something to that, because it's wonderful that you have all these opinions, but I've been very involved with the Democratic Party.
You're not going to vote for this old white man.
Okay.
You want a young black woman.
So yours is an opinion too, though, right?
Right.
But
you know what, Joe? I'm going to continue to be respectful of you, and I hope that you will be respectful of me of what I'm about to say. I've invested a lot of time. Becoming HIV positive at 16 years old, Joe, is what made me politically active, because I realized that my human rights, my health care, Joe, were on the line. So let me talk to you as someone who's been very involved with the Democratic Party for literally the last 12 years. You can have your opinion about the Democratic Party and what the ideals of the Democratic Party are, but let me speak to them as someone who's been very involved with the Democratic Party. Michael Bloomberg used to be a registered Republican. I used to live in New York City for 5 years. I appreciated the work that he did. I see the work that he has done, unfortunately, in the state capitol of New York, funding and supporting and endorsing anti-choice and anti-gay candidates who were, but what else? Registered Republicans in New York State. For that reason and many other reasons, he will not have my support. If you talk about the perfect antithesis of what this election will be about, it goes back to something that Hillary said, that love trumps hate. And although I'm not supporting Mayor Pete is actually the perfect antithesis of what Donald Trump is all about. Donald Trump is all about hate. He is all about division. He is all about using racial slurs, just like you did. Pocahontas. Mayor Pete is all about love.
Mayor
and mind you,
Pete.
hold on.
Mayor
I let
Pete.
you talk.
Alfred E.
I let you
Newman.
talk. I let you talk.
He's the madman of politics.
Scott, let me talk.
Yeah, you can talk.
I let you talk. Let me talk. You respect me. I'll respect
I do
you.
respect
With
you.
that being said, and I respect you, great. We agree on something. It's bipartisanship. So with that being said, Mayor Pete and what the ideals and the principles are of the Democratic Party are, they are pro-woman. They are okay. As a joke. What's a joke is not believing that women don't deserve equal pay for equal work in 2019.
So I'm just going to say one thing.
That's a
This
joke.
is
That's a farce.
exactly
That's a
why
lie.
we're where we are.
Exactly.
Because
I agree with you.
can't sit here
That's
and
a lie.
sit here and say that the divide is ridiculous. You're offensive. Calling people names is exactly why people can't look at people.
So they
But
can
so-
call
no,
Trump
no,
a
no,
Nazi,
Let the woman
and
talk.
misogynist,
No, let the woman talk.
and an Islamophobe. That's not offensive to the Democrat liberal.
What I'm
establishment.
saying to you
Okay.
is that everybody
How about the-
cannot do that.
It is.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Right.
It goes on both sides.
When people call Republicans Nazis, that's offensive to me. But the mainstream media doesn't say a word because they're in the tank with the Democrats against.
Scott, did you hear what I said?
It's happening
Yes.
out.
What did I say? Repeat what I said.
What'd she say?
I'm not going to repeat what you said.
Because he doesn't listen, because he wasn't listening,
No,
because it's
I
all
listened.
about his opinion, his agenda, and how he can manipulate the media and others around him in this room, just like the President of the United States does.
the
So
media-
it's shameful
No.
that he continues to espout the racist rhetoric that the commander of the chief of the
You
President of
see?
the United States does.
You
When
see?
you say Pocahontas, that is offensive. That you might as well
You-
sit here next to
okay.
me, Scott, and call me a faggot. That is
know.
absolutely
Oh,
offensive
no.
towards.
That's-
No,
that's
no.
offensive.
Joe, okay, well,
That's offensive.
no, Joe.
No,
Joe,
you need to
Joe,
back away
I'm not
from
going to
that.
take that back. You're not going to
Yes,
tell me
you
what I
do.
should do. What I'm going
Slow
to say
down.
to you right now is calling someone who's Native American Pocahontas
She's
is
not Native
racially
American.
I don't care. It's racially insensitive.
No, it's not.
You're
No,
calling
it isn't.
someone who that's cute coming from two white men.
So
You coming from two white
as part
Racially
Cherokee,
insensitive.
I'm going to sit here.
Elizabeth Warren
I'm going to
has
sit
as
here
much
and say
Native
that's
American
offensive.
ancestry
Please,
as
Scott,
me,
Scott.
and I have none.
Scott. All right. Let me attempt to try to wrangle back. Let's try one at a time, and we're coming to you, Requel.
Being of Native American descent, any of that is offensive to me. I don't care.
She's not Native American.
But you're using racial slurs.
I'm not using racial
It's a
slurs
slur.
at all.
It's a slur.
It is a slur.
You have been heard 3 times. You've said
It's like
it
calling
3
you a
times.
freaking
You've
cracker
said it 3 times.
or
Let's move on.
a Jewish.
So when someone calls Trump a Nazi, do you say anything? Do you?
Yes, I do, because I do not believe
Okay,
that
say it
that's
now.
going to get there.
Say it to the audience that that's wrong.
I've said it 3 or 4 times
I haven't
already.
heard it once.
Because you've been talking
No, I
over
haven't.
me.
I'm not talking over you at all.
I'm going to
No, I'm
try.
not mansplaining.
I'm going
Yes,
to.
you are.
I'm
Yes,
going
you
to
are.
wait. I'm going to try to end the conversation about Elizabeth Warren, Donald Trump, Mayor Pete. I want to return back to our topic. Michael Bloomberg has entered the race, and we're talking about what we think about Michael Bloomberg. Now I'm going to come to you. What do you think about it?
I think it's very interesting when you have a billionaire like Donald Trump running potentially against another billionaire like Michael Bloomberg. It's indicative of a society where whoever has the most money wins the presidency, and that's bad for democracy. I just ran for Miami Beach commissioner last election. I got
on which party?
Well, it's nonpartisan. I think I'm beyond party.
Okay.
Thank
But
you. Yeah.
I think, but what's important though, I mean, from all my consultants and everybody that was part of my campaign, I did learn that $250 buys one vote. Ooh, so that's good to know. $250 buys one vote. So if you have the war chest to buy votes like that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So it's scary. It's scary about how much money influence you have in politics. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Let's look at it for just what it is. And because it pushes out people who are smart and talented who maybe aren't a billionaire, and that is bad for the future of our republic
Let me
well.
try to laser focus the conversation to this point, which is what I think really becomes interesting in this. The Republicans, largely, while Obama was in office, was able to get the Supreme Court to rule that money basically is free speech. And the Koch brothers were able to open a war chest unlike anything that we had seen in America. Broadly, without getting into real specific detail, let's take the Koch brothers out as Republicans and put a Democratic name, regardless, either side. Okay, either one.
Yeah,
all right, that's not the important thing.
Oh.
The important thing is that money is free speech, and the Supreme Court has ruled that now. So the question is that, which the Republicans through Obama brought in, but it could apply to either party, brings in an age of Donald Trump. And a billionaire comes into the campaign, and many, many Americans like it because he's an outsider. He's going to drain the swamp. He is a business leader, and that's better than the politics of what we've had in the past. My question to you is, if those are facts, if they are, how can we not see that this is the next step? That another billionaire is going to move in, and not a billionaire where we argue is valued between $2 and $7 billion, but factually is $54 billion. And to your point, that money buys elections. All the Democratic response was, money shouldn't be in the election. What is the point of Elizabeth Warren saying that? Because there's no value in what she said. The issue is decided. The Supreme Court has said, so money is free speech.
Just one moment here. So if you look at the last election, Hillary Clinton outspent Donald Trump 4-1.
Okay.
So by the spending equation, Hillary should have won, but she didn't because Donald Trump
did win.
She did because
she
Donald
won.
Trump
3 million more votes than Donald
she did
Trump.
popular.
That's
she did
irrelevant.
Right? No, wait,
Okay.
wait. Let's make sure.
The
Let's make
electorate is
sure.
irrelevant.
Wait,
You've heard
wait.
the
Make
electoral
sure.
college is not
Please,
irrelevant.
Joe. Please.
But it
3 million. Let me make the point because y'all already know the point I'm going to make, and you want to shout it down. Hillary Clinton won the election by 3 million more votes.
Oh my God.
I agree.
It's insane.
Wait.
That's
Let me
preposterous.
finish my thought. The Electoral College is the Electoral College, and that is how presidents are elected. We can argue the value or the negativeness of the Electoral College, but my point is, at the end of the day, the Democratic nominee won more popular votes than the Republican nominee.
But the Republican nominee won the election. Do you acknowledge that?
Yes, the Electoral College. You heard me say that, Joe.
No,
the
you
Electoral
keep
College
saying-
elects the President of the United States. The Electoral College elects the President of the United States. America, did you misunderstand?
That
the
means-
Electoral College elects the President of the United States.
That means-
That's not the point.
That means the president
A
won the
potential-
election, not just the electoral
President
college.
Trump won the election.
Thank
He
you very
won
much.
the election.
The
He
elec-
won the election. I am not going to allow the Republican to divert the point. This topic is about Michael Bloomberg. Trump on steroids entered the election on Saturday. On steroids. He is 15 times more powerful than Donald Trump at this exact same moment. And my only
You're not
point,
getting my point.
Completely.
No, you
my
don't.
discussion point is, can he buy the election? Because the Supreme Court has already said you're allowed to.
That was my point in talking about Hillary spent 4 times of what Donald Trump spent. He cannot buy the election because the election is by the people and for the people.
Okay, let's try to
If the popular vote would have elected Hillary
that's
Clinton
not
as
true.
president. You contradict yourself.
No, I
Let's
didn't.
move on.
Let me ask one last
Got it.
question that relates to the money
That's
issue.
bullshit.
Not everything is bullshit. Just because you don't agree with it, act your age.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, act your age.
All right.
Act your age. Let's move on.
The last thing,
That's-
I want to
you're
close the
delusional.
segment.
You're delusional.
I want to close the segment by showing you something that Michael Bloomberg said, and we want to play this because really I think this was the moment. This is what the next 5 to 6 months is going to turn into. This about what Michael Bloomberg said about Donald Trump and the exact issue that I'm trying to elicit from all of you. Watch what Mayor Bloomberg said. Watch this.
If President Trump wins another term in office, we may never recover from the damage that he can do. The stakes could not be higher. We must win this election. Now, I took on Trump on gun violence and won stronger gun laws in states across the country. I took on Trump, the climate denier, and have led efforts that have closed more than half of the nation's dirty coal-fired power plants. Trump right now is carrying water for big tobacco. I've taken on the dangers of e-cigarettes to protect our kids. I know what it takes to beat Trump because I already have, and I will do it again. Defeating Trump and rebuilding America is the most urgent and important fight of our lives, and I'm going all in.
I'm getting ready. We're going to move out of this, but I'm getting ready to do a flash poll. I give production a heads up. The only thing that I want to point out in our closing of this segment on Michael Bloomberg is he makes clear the number one issue for him. He may have multiple issues that he is passionate about, but his only issue is to defeat Donald Trump. That's what he makes clear here. Now, flash poll, and all I want is a yes or no. Please play along with my rules. Only yes or no. Is Michael Bloomberg going to be damaging to Donald Trump's reelection possibility? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Okay. And you hear the issues. This is going to be watched closely. The effects of Bloomberg's involvement, the effects of Bloomberg's money, and what is going to happen next is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to move into a next video about World AIDS Day. And we want to show you a video about what is called Voices. And Johnson & Johnson did a beautiful video on World AIDS Day talking about people that were in social media and their voices. It was a beautiful moment, and we want to show you what the world is saying about December 1st and World AIDS Day. Watch this.
Every 2 minutes, one young woman contracts HIV.
Did you know
1.8 million children
globally are HIV positive? Bet you didn't. Let's get tested. Let's make HIV history together.
I was diagnosed July 13, 2005 at 23 with AIDS. I am undetectable, and you can be as well.
I am a survivor.
As someone living with HIV treatment works. Get in care, stay in care, live well, live your best life possible.
30% of people with HIV don't know they have it. Get tested.
Today, young people make up over 20% of all HIV and AIDS cases in the U.S. alone.
Every day, 400 children contract HIV for the first time, and 290 children die daily from AIDS-related illnesses.
Let's make
HIV history.
Oh, okay.
All right. That is called Voices, and it's about opinions and thoughts about World AIDS Day all over the world. It moves us into our main topic tonight, which is World AIDS Day, of course. It's December 1st. We're fairly a lot of
Take
stuff
one
going
down,
on here.
pass that
I'm good. I'm good.
We're all
Thank
heated.
you.
It's been a heated night.
All right. We are broadcasting, as you know, America from the World AIDS Museum right here in the heart of the gayest place on planet Earth, Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Of course, we have Requel here as the executive director, and we're getting ready to show a video about the World AIDS Museum, and we're going to talk over it as this video is shown. It shows you a little glimpse in the museum itself, and Requel, let's come back to the issue of, and we're watching the video here that we've prepared. Our notes about 1.1 million people in the U.S. are living with AIDS. Most significantly, breathtaking to me, 1 out of 7 are completely unaware that they're infected, and really staggering to me as it brings it home to It's Happening Out. Through our broadcast tonight, 5 new cases are going to be diagnosed just during our show. It is still an epidemic. And so, Requel, as we watch this, in terms of talking to you, what's the significance of the World AIDS Museum and what its value is and what you're trying to accomplish in your mission?
It continues the conversation. It continues to work on stigma. It preserves the history of a pandemic that no one wants to talk about anymore. And it is relevant and it is necessary to continue to have this conversation in all cultural backgrounds and all ethnicities and all between gay, straight, transgender. It really doesn't matter. This is a relevant conversation.
And to the point of the World AIDS Museum's representation, education first and foremost, to keep the topic in front of us alive. World AIDS Day on December 1st. For you, what's as the executive director of this museum, what's the significance to you of World AIDS Day?
It's a remembrance day. It is a way in which the world can honor the people that have passed, that are still living, and to empower them with the knowledge that the people are there for them. I think that we need a day where we talk about that. There's going to be a visual that day, and part of it is a conversation of empowerment and remembering. And those are the two things I think that are most important, that we need to remember and we need to empower.
I love that. That's a beautiful sentiment. And tonight we're very happy to also bring in a representative in the healthcare services of HIV/AIDS, and we welcome tonight Paul Seligman, and he is from Care Resources. You know the guy, right?
Yes.
And at Care Resources, it's one of the preeminent healthcare providers in the United States, based here in South Florida, does an outstanding job. And Paul, very important night here at the World AIDS Museum with World AIDS Day. Welcome to It's Happening Out tonight, Paul. We're really happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Paul, I understand, is an expert in PrEP and delivery services for the community. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Care Resources.
Well, I'm the PrEP services coordinator, and that means that I get to connect young people or people who are at risk in general with biomedical prevention medication that prevents HIV infections. So we're in a completely new place. And the future is coming, and it's coming with all kinds of wonderful evolutions from the point of view of biomedical prevention. So by biomedical, I mean that we are using medications inside your body to create barriers to prevent infection. This is something that we didn't foresee. So it's altering the conversation completely for the people who are currently taking medications. They're becoming undetectable, they're controlling and suppressing their virus. That means it's not harming them anymore and it's not being transmitted. For the person who's at risk of infection, they take a medication that prevents an HIV infection, and then they're not getting infected either. This is how we're bookmarking the whole thing.
Paul, I'm curious with your experience and being an expert in your field in care delivery services for HIV and AIDS. How do you feel about standing and being able to talk to America and the services that you provide at Care Resource and your expertise, but the delivery and the explanation of that coming right from the heart of the World AIDS Museum. What kind of experience is that for you?
It's very moving, I'll tell you, not just being here at this museum, being here in South Florida where we're so affected, where it's impacting so many of us, but it's also very personal for me. I'm a longtime survivor. I've managed to be here long enough to tell the story. And so for me, the existence of this museum is very, very personal and incredibly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, I've just met you tonight, but you and I find simpatico immediately because you just said something that I'm very passionate about. We're both storytellers, and we just do it in different ways to help move people to positive action. In that vein, December 1st is World AIDS Day. And from your perspective of what you do at Care Resource in providing such vitally needed services, what does World AIDS Day mean to you?
Well, for me, it's a very important day. We're still seeing people die of AIDS here in South Florida. And that's totally preventable. It's not something that should be happening. And what's killing people is shame. They die of shame. They die of shame and embarrassment, too embarrassed to go somewhere and receive medication that would be given to them for free, receive medical attention that would be given to them for free. This is the part that's heartbreaking.
Paul, you have, in that vein, you have an opportunity to look in the camera and speak to many gay and straight, especially young men and women, of the value of testing, of contraceptive, of getting medical services and seeing doctors and testing units. Reach out to America and tell them, in your opinion, why you think that that's important.
I think it's very important for all of us to exactly know where we are, what's going on in our bodies, and testing. Know your status. Know that it's a test result. It's not when you have a non-reactive HIV test, that doesn't mean that you're clean, because that's part of the problem. People think this idea, clean or dirty, it's not how it goes. The human body's full of very important germs. Those germs and you are what makes you alive. So it's not about clean. It's about an infection with a virus, and to know whether or not it exists in your body, you can take appropriate action and stay well. And these days, you can stay well with these medicines. So whether you're using medicines to prevent an HIV infection or using medicines to stay well, the science has improved tremendously.
Yeah, we're going to talk at the end of the show about the possibilities of what are on the horizon. I want to thank Paul for being with us here tonight. Vitally important. It's interesting to me, in preparing for this show, we learned a number of things. Staggering to me that one out of 7 is not even aware that they're infected. Staggering to me.
This is why we're doing so much work to make sure that doctors, general doctors, practitioners of every kind, we have normalized testing here in South Florida.
And also staggering to me, the outstanding service that healthcare providers provide in different communities all over America. In South Florida, the dramatic effect that Care Resource has, the World AIDS Museum being here in South Florida. We are so cognitively aware of this issue in South Florida, yet South Florida is the #1 new transmission area of the entire nation. We have doubled the percentage numbers of New York City or Los Angeles. There is a gigantic disconnect, which to me justifies Paul's value, the World AIDS Museum's value, and us signifying the importance of World AIDS Day on December 1st. Paul, thank you very much for being with us here tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So as we close this conversation among us about World AIDS Day, any thoughts that you have in terms of where we're at, where we're going, where we should be going?
I think we're in a very hopeful new place. I've been doing the AIDS Walk Miami now for the past 5 years.
That's a Care Resource fundraising project.
And every April down by the New World Center,
right,
by Lincoln Road. And each year it gets harder and harder to do. It takes a lot more energy. It takes a lot more commitment because people think that that the epidemic is gone, that it's not as threatening as it was at one time. But there's a lot of hope right now, and it's very exciting to live right now during this time, because right now we have all the tools that we need to end the epidemic right now. And that's exciting to be part of that. We have the tools necessary to end the epidemic now. And now with the new campaign that's very robust as U equals U, and in a nutshell, it means undetectable means that you're untransmittable. Wow, imagine living in a world where when you're undetectable, you're untransmittable. It's a new shift in how we think about HIV/AIDS. And so it's exciting to live in these times right now where the cure or just getting to zero new deaths, stigma, or infections, that can be in my lifetime. And that's very exciting.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that anybody wants to make?
I would agree with you that these are exciting times and that we have done extraordinary things to get to this level. And I will also make that caveat. There are extraordinary things we still have to do. And I use the word "it's not over yet" very powerfully because it is not over yet.
Yeah. Terrific, and I want to make that our closing soundbite. We're again, Requel, we are so honored that It's Happening Out could be sitting in the middle of the World AIDS Museum on the eve of Thanksgiving. We have things to be thankful for, and the eve of World AIDS Day, and there's so much still to do. It is not a disease of the past, and I'm empathetic for Joe in his situation. I'm empathetic for a young millennial and Aaron in his situation. I can tell you personally, for me, I lived through 80s and 90s in the heat of the crisis. I am negative, but I expressed to you shame at times of how did I not transmit the disease? How is it I'm still here? I lived in the absolute peak pinnacle of the heat of the AIDS crisis, and I'm here today. And so that makes me lucky, and it makes me, I lost so many people. It makes me proud that we could do something like this tonight at the World AIDS Museum. Makes me proud. Going to seem strange to you, America, and all of us, but we're going to close our show out with a game that we always play called Shag, Marry, Chop. So we're going to play one final game here tonight before we close out at the World AIDS Museum. And it's Thanksgiving after all. So what does Thanksgiving mean? It doesn't mean family. It doesn't mean turkey. It means football. So let's play Shag, Marry, Chop with NFL football players. All right, here we go. Shaquan Barkley, and I apologize if I mispronounced that, from the New York Giants, or Julian Edelman from the New England Patriots, or Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. Now, to me, this might be one of the most interesting Shag, Marry, Chops we've had because we have Raquel sitting here, but especially we have the president of Americans for Trump, married straight guy here tonight. Who would like to play first? Shag?
I will.
Raquel's going to jump right in.
I am not a Gold Star lesbian.
All right. Who Gold Star lesbian. Bam. Drop the mic on you, right? Who are you, Shag?
So,
you know what shag means?
Yes, I do.
Oh, what does shag mean?
I've been to Europe. It means to have intercourse. I'll use it at that.
Intercourse, yes, okay.
Right. I won't say the other word.
All right,
I know, because I'm trying to figure out. They all could be shaggable.
Yeah.
But I'm a patriot, and I just like Julian.
Yeah, you're going for Julian. Who would you marry?
I think Myles I would.
Myles?
Yeah.
And why would you marry him?
Well, he's got a great-looking body.
All right, longevity. And then you would chop Saquon.
Yeah.
Barkley.
I think he's young.
Yeah, too young.
I need seasoned men.
Yeah, you need seasoned men. Oh, wait. Have you met Al?
Al. Hi, Al.
All right, who else is going to play? Shag, Marry,
I'll go. I'm
Joe?
gonna shag Myles Garrett.
All right.
That man just needs it.
Yeah.
Did you see that ass?
Yes, I did.
Oh my God! All right.
What about you?
And I am marrying Julian Edelman. I mean, I love him.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry,
that
Swan.
shot of the food and the right?
Yeah, look at that. That just that body.
and the
Sorry,
and
Julian.
The chopping.
Marry me, boy.
And the chopping is the Shaquan.
Shaquan, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
just not
Who
making
else?
it.
Scott, I'm saving you for last.
Okay.
I just can't help it. I just can't help it. I'm it's
think
like
I'm
a
ready to
dog.
jump in.
I'm
Gay for
chasing
pay,
the mail
gay for
truck
pay.
now. All right. How about you?
I don't know. I'm not all that into muscle, but I will say that each of them
Wait,
have.
have
What?
you met Al?
I would say
Shake
that-
my hand, dude. Shake my
Yeah.
hand. All right.
But each of them have their own little traits. Like for example, Saquon, he seems like a smooth brother. Somebody can bring home to mom and dad. He seems like
Is that why you would shag him?
marryable. Julian, he seems like all that food and weight. That's intense. It's very intense.
Who
That's
is
an
shagging?
accident with
Which
the
one?
chop.
Oh, he's a
Shag,
chop.
Julian to chop?
The
Shag,
Shag is
but
Miles.
Shag, I can see Miles because I see him being like, putting me over his shoulders. I'm like, put me down. Put me down. Stop it.
Wait, America, every image I had of Jonathan
It's gone.
vanished.
Absolutely gone.
Well, we're all complicated people.
Yes,
all
we
right,
are.
all right. And Aaron?
So I have to put my glasses on.
Oh.
He has to
I'm
see
blonde
them.
and I'm blind and I drive in Florida, so watch out.
Child, did you just say you're blonde?
I'm blonde.
Ooh.
Okay.
So this is easy for me.
All right.
I'm from Ohio, and the Cleveland Browns really have just been, to use an adjective that I love, deplorable. They've been really bad.
That's
They've
a
been
good
really
joke.
bad. So I'm
That's a
just
good
gonna
joke.
chop Miles, even
All
though he looks really good in the
Hot,
cowboy
hot,
hat. you
hot,
know.
man.
By partisanship, we can agree.
Who are you going to shag? I'll try to get you back into the order of the game. Shag, marry, chop.
Okay, so.
All right, shag.
I'm gonna shag Saquon, the guy from the New York Giants.
Okay.
He's young, so it will be fun.
And the food
Obviously,
of Julian is attracting you
yeah,
too?
as we know, I'm very much so into Mediterranean men, especially Greeks.
Yes.
So
Wait. Have you met Al? No.
And I
You
also
fit
love
so many
I
different
also love
places, Al.
cheeseburgers. So it's a win-win. Food
Okay,
and
all right. Now, America, prepare. Here we go. The married president of American Super Trump. Tell us who you would shag.
Oh my God! First of all, my friends, I'm loyal and dedicated to Carol.
All right, to his wife. All right. Mic drop. Okay. But in a pinch.
All right,
Here's a butt here. Go ahead.
pinch.
Literally,
Who
there's
let-
a butt here.
Definitely Miles's.
Shag, Saquon.
Saquon from
Really?
the New York Giants?
Okay.
Saquon
How
from the
come?
New
I'm
York
curious.
Mhm.
Is it the
What?
muscle, the haircut? What
he
is
likes
it?
younger boys, Karen.
And,
I think,
it's the lip.
Wait,
He
did
has
Aaron
the
Darr?
lip.
Wait, did Aaron Darr just hang on the president of American
it was
Super
a
Trump and said,
proposal.
"You're mine now"? Is that what you just said?
This is how we're gonna make America.
Oh,
great again.
No,
Ken, I want to hear the whole thing. Go ahead.
I went for Saquon because by process of elimination to the next two.
Oh, okay. All right. Who's your Mary?
Oh, my Mary for sure is Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
Okay, Fred.
Because I'm from Boston, big, huge, #1 New England Patriots fan. So if I marry Julian, I'm going to get 50-yard line seats to see my boy Tom.
Oh.
Okay. So
Wait,
sure.
you're cheating on your husband
Yeah.
already?
Yes, I am.
All right.
See
Okay.
my boy Tom.
And Miles, you're
Miles,
chopping.
I'm cut, boom, because he just, we're talking about like marrying, whatever. He just got suspended, indefinite suspension by the commissioner, so we can't make any more money. So
Yeah,
he's done.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
And he swings a mean helmet on assault and battery for domestic.
Yeah,
violence.
that was
What?
so much.
Really?
I didn't want to reveal that.
How did we not
You're
know
done.
that?
I did know that.
Can I just?
Yeah.
I need to change my idea now.
No, he is still shagworthy.
No,
Have you seen?
He might be shagworthy, but
He's
he's
not
marriageable.
marriageable.
Wait, America,
I'm
what's
married
going
to
on?
him.
I can't get the president of
Miles is
Americans for
gone.
Trump to stop talking about who he's going to shag on the show. Come on, dude. We're done. We're done.
Hey,
That is the end of Shag, Marry,
don't
Chop.
be shag shaming my friend.
Right. And that
And
is
Carol
the
is
end
so
of our
red.
Thanksgiving.
She matches your shirt, Al.
That is the end of our Thanksgiving special. We wish everyone everywhere in America a happy Thanksgiving. We want to thank Requel. We're going to do one final thought about World AIDS Day in a moment. But of course, it's Jet's Pizza time. This is the cauliflower. It's awesome.
Nice.
Good seeing you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good
Thank
to
you. Happy
We
Thanksgiving.
love
Thanksgiving.
Jet's
Happy
Pizza.
Thanksgiving.
And
Thank you.
We're stay around because we're going to ask you who you're going to shag, marry, and chop.
Yes. I know.
Exactly. The one final thing that we want to do before we say goodnight is we want to talk about, again, one more time, why we're in the middle of the World AIDS Museum. If you come to South Florida, please make sure you visit this museum. You'll learn so much. It's a spectacular exhibit. They need your help. They need your support. We need awareness. The fight is not over, and this is the front line of the education of that at the World AIDS Museum. On December 1st, we celebrate all over America. Look in your own community what you will be doing to celebrate World AIDS Day, December 1st. We want to bring our show to a conclusion on both of those themes by showing you something hopeful. Johnson & Johnson has announced, and there's several other paths, we have talked about it and it's happening out, that give us dramatic hope. Jonathan talked about it. We're on the edge. We're on the edge, America, in terms of our long battle against AIDS. And we want to close the show tonight with this message of hope. Watch this. Absolutely. America, Johnson & Johnson gets it right. We're all global citizens. World AIDS Day, World AIDS Museum, we're all global citizens. We want to first fight the stigma. It must end. Second, embrace the fact that you get tested, you know your status. And third, you can celebrate in hope that a vaccine and a cure is on the horizon. Multiple testing centers, including Johnson & Johnson, are really, really close. It's not 1994, and we can celebrate that tonight in 2019. So, as we close our show, we always give our host the opportunity to say goodnight, and we're going to have the same thing that we do each week in doing that, and I'm going to begin with my friend Joe Brookman.
family, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's Thanksgiving, so love one another, listen to one another, learn from one another, and join us again next week to stay in touch.
And my new friend, Scott Newmark.
Well, first of all, I want to say it is such a pleasure to be on this show, It's Happening Out. And it's really another pleasure to be in the World AIDS Museum. I had an opportunity to take a tour before this show started, and this is a place you want to come, you want to visit, you want to learn. This is a great museum, and I recommend it for anybody. And it's not easy for my good friend Al to say, come on, Scott, President of Americans for Trump, to be on this show, because I bring a different perspective, and that's important because we have to learn to disagree without being disagreeable. We can have very strong opinions, we all do, but we are one America, and we are all Americans, and we've got to learn to live together, and that's what we're all going to do. And that's why I come on this show, because I love everybody. I do. And I want everyone to learn to get along. So thank you so much, Trump patriots, that you're watching and listening to this great show. I know my gay brothers and sisters out there, I know you support President Trump. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard, but I'm here for you on the front lines. I'm out there. I'm bold. I'm unafraid. I'm out there, but I'm here for you. And thank you very much. And thank you, Al, for inviting me again.
And I could not get by without saying, I know for Joe, and I've said this countless times, it is, for what Scott did tonight, whether you agree or disagree with him, almost impossible to accomplish what he did in terms of coming on, a straight married man representing Americans for Trump, a very difficult situation. And the little speech that you did there, that will be $1,000 to the Republican. And to my friend, Aaron Darr.
You know, as always, such a privilege to be here with each and every single one of you, in particular Requel and John and Paul and everyone here at the World AIDS Museum for all of the work they do to getting us to a point where we will reach a zero in HIV infection history. With that being said, politics aside, with everything that we talked about tonight, I don't want us to forget what it is that we essentially came here for, and the ground that we stand on here at the World AIDS Museum. You know, if you're familiar with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, you know that that was on a Friday. You know, life is full of Fridays. Friday is the call from the doctor that your cancers come back. Friday is the day that you lose your job. For me, Friday was the day, December 23rd, 2008, at 16 years old, that I was diagnosed HIV positive. But I've always had to tell myself that I serve a purpose according to God, and that Sunday was coming. Right now, with all the political divisiveness that we see all across our country, and even that we did on this panel tonight, we must remember that our nation, under this administration, is experiencing a Friday, but Sunday is coming, that hope, that optimism. And Sunday will come if we all can collectively put aside our differences and realize that we have so much more in common than what separates us. So thank you all so much. A happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much again to the World's AIDS Museum for hosting this very important panel discussion.
Very nice. And to my friend, Jonathan.
I wear this red ribbon, and I think about all the people for over 30 years who've been part of the fight in reducing HIV/AIDS and making an impact. It's been a long, hard struggle, a lot of people for a couple decades now, but right now it's a very unique time where the light isn't at the end of the tunnel, but there's a lot of hope. And let's do what we can together, because right now I think we're just people who are walking on the shoulders of giants. We're carrying the torch of people that came before us, and we owe it to those people that came before us to make sure that we commit ourselves to ending this horrible epidemic. And thank you for allowing me to be on tonight with you, the lovely ladies and gentlemen.
And I have to echo for Jonathan Welsh's benefit. Care Resource is a leader in America in terms of health services that are provided to those that are in the highest need for HIV and AIDS. And I want to say specifically, reach out and open your wallet and help Care Resources. And wherever you live, there are organizations like Care Resource in your community, and they really desperately need your
I wanted just take a hot second just to mention something very important. We have this thing we've been working with the Department of Health on called Test and Treat. So if you're newly diagnosed and you come into our health center, when you leave our health center, that same day, you have medications, you have a behavioral health counselor, you have a case manager, and you have hope again. So, and we get that all within 24 hours. And that's great to see that that's what we're doing these days.
Please allow me to connect the dots to this man on the right of me, to this man on the left of me. You just heard Sunday's coming. Somebody like Friday got a Sunday.
Exactly.
That's what he just told you.
Exactly.
And final good night from our friend Requel Lopes.
You know, this has been a very special day. I think that, you know, on the eve of what I consider the day of thanks, and it's a thankful day to be able to have these kind of dialogues with people of various opinions and still leave here and be able to shake each other's hand. I think that is in this day and time, monumental. On the eve of World AIDS Day, in the vigil, in the remembrance and the empowerment and the future, and that if you look down the tunnel, there is that light. And I honor that. And the museum is here to preserve that history because we really are about documenting, remembering, and empowering the history of HIV.
Lovely. And Raquel,
Yes.
we're so honored to be sitting here
Absolutely.
tonight. America, that is our show. I want to tell you, one of the most valuable things that you can do is if you liked the conversation, if you hated some of the conversation, either way,
Text Al.
you can share the conversation, because the best thing that we can do is exactly what Johnson & Johnson challenged us at the end. The number one thing you can do is share with your friends and your family, and we feel the exact same way it's happening out. We are so passionate on this subject. Where in America do you hear the kind of conversation live that you've heard here tonight? We're all very proud of this. Whether you agree or you disagree, that is not the important question. The question is that the words are being said at all. And we are trying to preserve and pursue the need for gay community and what is important to us. So please remember, on this Thanksgiving Eve and at the beginning of World AIDS Day, sitting in this historic museum, if it's important to you, remember, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, it's happening out. Good night, America.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.